Hello everyone. Today is Friday, April 23, and I'll be going over my recap for today. So today I had a total loss of 593, so 1,242 loss from my TD Ameritrade account, and a 643 on my Trade Zero. So started the day pretty rough. Today, pretty high volume in terms of the small caps, but in the past 2 months, I've been more short bias in the last 2 months, and I've been shorting a lot more. And definitely today is an eye opener for the long trades. So definitely, I need to shift my focus and need to have an open bias on both the long and the short side. But I started the day almost down 1,500 on the day, and then I scored a nice short trade later on the OCGN for making up some of those losses. But definitely sized up a little bit more today than I wanted to, and it might be a little bit of revenge trading. So you definitely don't want to do that when you're down on the day, because you can snowball your losses into a bigger loss. But yeah, let's start on the recap for today. Shotgun, I can get to that in a few seconds. So I'm going to start with my TD Ameritrade account, so with VUZI. So VUZI was a long trade. I sized in a little smaller on this one, but it had a nice long trade here. You can see this flag and pretty much VWAP holding as support, and I bought that flag right there, 1,000 shares, and I just sold right onto that push for $120 wins. I wish I sized it a little bit more, but that was a quick little scalp on the long side. So definitely there's more long plates will be in the future, so we'll keep that open. So that was a $120 win on VUZI. Next trade is UAVS. So this was a $94 win. Took a short scalp off this inverted cup and handle here. Took that, took some covers, re-add and cover, and then I was thinking it still extended, so I was looking to kind of add and maybe a 15-minute retest later, but I ended up taking a loss there on the covers, but ended up $94 on this trade on UAVS. Next trade was SYPR. So SYPR, I took a morning short. I took 2 losses on the short side, and I took a win here on my TD Ameritrade account on the long side. And it was more of an after hour play. In the after hour, it looked like it wanted to squeeze higher, so I went ahead and bought this on this flag break, and then I sold onto this push before this kind of crash here. It ended up recovering and reclaiming, so I went ahead and bought this, risking this prior low, and ended up selling right on this push, and didn't really continue there. But I was kind of watching it. If it had another flag, I probably would have took that. But that was a $71 on the long side. On the short side, let me switch to my Trade Zero. On the short side, I took a trade back here on my Trade Zero. So I was looking for an inverted cup and handle here to form on my Trade Zero account, and it didn't exactly break down there. So I went ahead and cover. I tried again. Maybe this was the inverted cup and handle for the retest of the 5-minute trend. Didn't exactly get that, so I took another loss there. And there was a $160 loss in the morning there on SYPR on my Trade Zero account. Then I'll switch back and continue. So DLPN. So DLPN was a small win. took a loss here for this inverted cup and handle, and then you got a short little wick short trap there. Went ahead and cover. This was a $100 loss, and then I had a 5-minute reversal here. So 5-minute invert cup and handle, took that short, covered most of it pretty much there on the VWAP, and it kind of bounced off. So I made back my losses here and $29 profit on DLPN. Next trade was a $133 loss, GALT. So GALT, I was looking for a short off this 5-minute trend, maybe breaking and going back down to the hourly chart. It ended up popping back up here and stopping me out. My initial trade was this inverted cup and handle, but you can see there's a little wick there, so it might have been a little bullish. But it did have a nice crash here at 398, $4. I was actually looking for the $4 break here, but it didn't end up break it out, or broke down here nicely. But it took a loss here for $133 loss. Next trade is UXIN. So UXIN was also a short side. So pretty much today wasn't the day for shorts to be aggressive, but I was a little aggressive today on the short side, hence the bigger loss. So I saw an inverted cup and handle here, and I went ahead and tried to short this, thinking this would break, maybe go back to the hourly or maybe test the VWAP. Didn't break, actually held there. It had to stop out there at 168 when it was holding this, breaking this higher prior high. $459 loss there on UXIN. Next trade was Mara. So Mara also was looking for a hourly test as well. I went ahead and saw this fail flag right here. So you can see there's a flag break and it didn't go anywhere. And then I went ahead and tried to look for a inverted cup and handle. Didn't exactly break down there, but I had to take a stop here as well for a $184 loss. Size in here, expecting for that 3130s to crack, but ended up holding there. So that's Mara. Next trade was RAIL, RAIL. So RAIL also another short here, and you can see lower highs. So I went ahead and attack it short. Ended up holding again. It didn't break down that level. So the level to break down here was this 628 level. Didn't exactly break. Went in a little too early, and I took another stop loss there for a $274 loss. And it ended up just kind of trailing higher and higher, and then faded towards the end of days. But took a big loss there. Next trade is OGEN for a $330 loss. So here I saw the 5-minute was extended, 15-minute was extended, 5-minute was creating lower highs. It had a kind of fell flag here on these wicks, but it needed to break this 81 area. It ended up holding, and then I had to stop out from these highs right here. I was looking for a break of this and test of 79 cents, 80 cents. But I had to take I think that was like a $400 loss there. And end up taking a small win here on this short, and then covering right on the 15-minute when it dipped there. So that was a $331 loss. Next trade is XXII. So this was my biggest loser, so $474 loss. I had a small win here in the morning. You can see the inverted cup and handle. I took that, and then I had a chance to cover a little bit more here, but I had a small win here covering there. And then I took it short again. when it was trying to break this. I'll answer your question in a bit. And then I stop higher days. Also extend on the 5-minute chart. So a lot of these charts are kind of extended. The reason why I'm short biased, but they have been holding pretty well with the volume picking up in the market. But I took another short off this right here, looking for that inverted coming handle. Ended up holding a higher low here, so I had to stop out. And that was for a $474 loss total there on XXII. And then my kind of biggest win of the day was on my OCGN. So OCGN, I traded this on my trade 0 account. So let me switch to that. So OCGN. So OCGN had an offering later in the day, but I had this kind of hourly. So this was an hourly inverted cup and handle, this trend line break. I took a short there, 2,000 shares, and I covered on 1170's average there for a $1,000 win. So that made up quite a bit of my losses for today, or else I've been down 1,500, which would have been a pretty big loss. But today it feels like so, and then they had an offering after this, so it's pretty bad news for OCGN. So I feel like in the coming days, I think OCGN will probably fade back down to $7 in the long term. I don't think it's going to be a good, long-term investment. I think I answered a few questions there. So overall, just down $593 for today between my two brokers. And I'll answer your question here. If you sold short a few shares today, then later on the same day, I sold short a few more shares. Then at the end of the day, I bought to cover all of those short sales at once. This only 1 day trade, right? Since I closed them all at once. I think so, yes. I think it counts as 1 day trade, yeah. But I think if you sized in and then you sold two twice, it will count as 2 day trade. I think it's every in and out transaction. If you pair them together, then that's a 1 day trade. So I think, yeah, that will consider as 1 day trade. But I might be wrong. But to me, it sounds like it's a 1. But yeah, that's my recap for today. Definitely bigger loss for the day, but I have to get used to it if I'm able to size up. And I'm going to hey Cider, are you talking about the question or are you saying about something else? Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna end my recap there. And as I mentioned, this is a bigger loss than normal, but I have to get used to the swing highs and lows. So I'll be maybe sizing in a little bit more the next week, because just I need to get used to sizing in if I ever want to grow. But definitely I think the opportunity in the market has shown itself today, and I'm probably excited for next week. All right, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye.